Hello, everyone. I'm not even going to do my intro. You know, that cool music? Hi, Charlie, Denise Fletcher. Nice to see you. Uh, Susan loves to plan. I always call you Susan loves Chopin. I don't know why. That's just what catches my eye. I'm dyslexic, so that's your handle for me. Louisa, thank you. Bora Bora, thank you. Joyful Journey, thank you, thank you. I'm coming in hot. There's a couple things, some housekeeping we need to go through. If you try to get to this live stream on Lalit's channel, you won't be able to because YouTube is kind of, they're not changing the rules, they're just enforcing the rules now. And they're choosing our industry. I'm not the only one. Val got demonetized and all that stuff. I don't mind being demonetized. I demonetize myself as far as ads go, but I'm worried about my memberships, that they can come in and just say, oh, we're going to put you in YouTube jail and cut all the memberships. And then you guys got to go get your money that's left over. Or, I mean, I lose it. So I'm working on a different way to have memberships. So YouTube, I can just, do this to YouTube. So until then, we're not going to simulcast anymore. But I will give you the links in my community when I'm on somebody Shore's show. Anyway, I'm coming in hot. Lalit, it's nice to see you. She says, she was saying that, oh, the moon, oh, the moon, oh, the moon. Yeah, well, we'll talk about the moon. But I got to tell you, hi, Cynthia and Mary. Thank you, Dawn. Good to see you. So there's something, if you haven't seen Linda G's latest video, I highly recommend it. And about 20 minutes in, this guy named Sean talks about what I've been suspecting and not putting words to. Apparently, so the Heritage Foundation, that creepy foundation that's writing the 2025 thing, they actually have already been to the state attorney generals in favorable states to them and created a lawsuit to challenge and kick off anyone on the ballot that isn't Joe Biden. I mean, the commerce will go to, if he hands it over to Kamala, I don't know about that. Nonetheless, it's big corporations. Now let's go a step farther. What I'm suspecting, MSNBC. I let Rachel have it on my community page. I trusted you, Rachel. I listened to you. I spread the news about your commentary. I respected your view on the news. I learned things from you, but you're being played by a big corporation who has this narrative of replacing Biden. So even if we did, we will lose because the Heritage Foundation has so much power. They're already turning the state attorney generals for these different states against having a smooth situation there. So that's what I'm coming in hot about. Watch hers. It's about 20 minutes in. He's an interesting guy. And it all makes sense. George Clooney, he's all big business, and like Rachel is being played. That whole team is being played by thinking that we're doing good for our Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries just came out supporting Biden. The tide will turn. It's hard to move the ship. It takes a little while, but the new Democrats are here. We're not going to have old white guys, except for one, telling us who we're going to vote for. Democrats are not going to take away my vote for Joe Biden, period. So that's my angle on things. What do you think about my angle on things, Lalit?
I I totally agree with what you say, and I have a related story
Okay.
because this is so it's the same topic, but relating to how J.D. Vance came to be chosen, because he was he was mentored by a very wealthy billionaire. I guess
Mm-hmm.
there's no such thing as a poor billionaire, but
Right.
someone with billions, more than multiple
Owned
billions.
and operated by a
Yes,
billionaire. Yeah.
Thiel or Thielet. I think it's Thiel. Teal.
Oh, yeah.
And since he started, and he's very young, but he got his very first job because Teal got him in to his first job and the second job and the third job.
Because he
All
kept
every
getting
job
fired.
he was doing a terrible job, yes,
Yeah.
and so he kept moving up. He moved up because Teal called in favors and got him in. So it's been one step up the ladder after another, and he didn't really have to do a good job because he was bought and paid for.
Bought and paid
So,
for.
um, because it doesn't really make sense to have him on the ticket the way that it's not really in alignment with Trump's thinking exactly. And I think it's costing him big time in terms of the far right who doesn't like him, and also some moderate Republicans, and this whole Project 2025 deal in which he's a big player, although he denies it. Um, it's going to come out. And I think that because of the way the stars are moving, it has been a big boost to the Republicans because of all the several things that happened, including that quarter of an inch miss that happened on Saturday. It's to boost their position in a way that they've been given a false sense of security and false.
Who?
I
Who's
think
gotten a
the
false sense of?
Republicans feel very empowered,
Yeah, well,
and
they have a lot of
they're,
money backing them.
but also there have been events, that gave them a sense of empowerment, and all of the things. They feel so sure of themselves that they're
Mm-hmm.
making some foolish moves because they feel overconfident and and I think they're making mistakes because of that they will pay for in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's my take on what you just said.
So wait a minute. We've got a couple of comments here. It's about the money. Silicon Valley wants regulations to go away. I watched the show with Linda G with Sean and Andre. Linda G. That's the one I have linked to in my show notes. Is Linda G's show for that. I did link his YouTube page, but I think he gets more into the weeds about polling and things. But I mean, check him out. So also we have another one here. It says, please listen to Whimsy as well. J.D. Vance was chosen by Musk. And the only way Musk will support the Republican Party, because Musk does not want freedom of speech. There's a line he wants to draw about freedoms of speech. If you're for him, you can say anything you want. If you're against him, you can't say anything. So,
So tyranny against democracy, those are the first things to go.
Right. I do have something funny to say. I don't want to be all
Okay.
excited. This is a funny thing. I have a neighbor. I live in a senior park, so he's an older guy, and he walks every morning. He walks and he has these weights that he walks, and he like clockwork every morning. Sometimes he'll have a Trump t-shirt on. Sometimes he will have a Trump t-shirt and that new hat where it has Trump hair on top of it, which is a funny hat. Today he walked by, those flags that come on little toothpicks for bar, you put olives on them for a drink or something.
A cocktail
He
on
had
4th of July.
that
Oh, God.
scotch taped to his right ear, and on the outside, it's not like he put the toothpick in behind his ear. It was just where Trump's bandage is. I just
Like,
couldn't.
you mean like one of those fake arrows where you see the arrow going into the
No,
ear
you don't
and
see the
coming out the
stick
back?
at all. You don't see the stick at all. But it's so hilarious. Oh my gosh. So there is there's a lot going on. We got to keep our heads about us and remember
Yes.
that even though all the planets are doing their thing, we need to stay strong in Biden and that ticket, because if we change, it's going to. But there's a lot of people that came out. I put in my community page a link to another short. The guy who does the keys, Lalit, you told me about him, Alan Lichtman. He just talked to someone, and anyway, so that's my funny story. And I'm going to calm down and allow. So this is how we're going to go. Lalit, you take your time in explaining the dynamics of the stars while I'm backstage. I'm going to read your uh, so I was just reading a comment I'm not sure about, but I'll read it again. It's when I'm out of the room and see if it's appropriate. But I'm going to read your questions that you have for Lalit and I, like personal questions or political questions. If you wanted to go there, we could certainly do that. So, but please type everything in capital letters. I don't think you're yelling at me at all. It's the way I can see. And Cynthia, you did a really fine job. You just everyone look at the chat and do what Cynthia did. All caps. Okay, sweetie, here you go. And I'm out.
Okay, well, hi everybody. You know, I'm going to try to make this as concise and brief as possible, but just like last week when we had major planetary effect, we also have a big thing coming up this week. So I'll get as brief as, but I want you to understand how powerful a full moon is that is happening in this cycle and why, because all of the big major player planets are involved in this one in a very intense way. So let me tell you what's going
Lalit.
on. Yes.
I am so
Can you hear?
sorry. Can you pull your mic up a little bit because you're cutting out? It's cutting out a bit. There we go. See,
Oh,
I think that's going to be better.
okay.
Okay,
Is
back
that
to the
better?
show. Yeah, we can hear
I
you
had
better.
moved it down so the S's weren't hearing. Is
I know.
that better?
That's only because it's only me
Okay.
that
Does it
hears
help
it.
if I speak I speak a little louder and a little slower so that it's
Yeah,
clear? Does that sound clear now?
some of the words are going to. Is everything plugged in to your? Because some
Everything's
of the
plugged in.
words do not come through.
All right. I will enunciate carefully.
Okay, here we go. And
That.
there we are.
Okay. I'll sound like a robot. Okay. So briefly, what has happened today, we have the moon in Capricorn. So this is today. It's preparing for our second big full moon in the sign of Capricorn, number 2. That is what is called a blue moon. You heard the expression once in a blue moon? It's when there's a full moon in one month or in one zodiac. In this case, it's in one zodiac sign because we just had a full moon in Capricorn. This next one is going to be happening in the power degree, 29 degrees of Capricorn, and in big aspects to all the other huge slow planets that are also in 29 degrees. So it's going to be intense and very powerful. I forgot to get my water. All right, so you know that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and you know what those things are because you've been listening to me harp about it, but it has to do with a serious attitude. We all feel a little worried, there's a little bit of heaviness and pressure. We're concerned and we're worried about the government, Saturn Capricorn things, and the Supreme Court. And legal issues are at the forefront, and we have a feeling of responsibility, and it's a bit of a very heavy effect on us all. And this is applying toward the full moon, which will be happening technically Sunday, but it's late Saturday night, so it's very soon. I'll give you the exact time and everything. As soon as that full moon happens, the moon will be trining Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. That doubles the Saturn effect. So this is all about power struggle. Pluto is involved also. So there are under dealings in terms of power struggle. And it will affect our moods as individuals, and it will affect the country and the leadership of our country. So I'm going to just show you briefly a picture of the chart today as we speak. So you can have a visual. I circled the sun in yellow. It's in 27 degrees of Cancer, and the moon is in Capricorn. Now it's 9 degrees. That it is applying to the full moon. As it moves forward, it's going to be at the full moon when it gets forward at Pluto there. So yeah, that's something uh, very big. So um, I want to mention here something that it pertains to the full moon that we're approaching, and also pertains to what happened last week, because last week I remember we were discussing the Uranus and Mars thing, and someone asked the question, when does this happen? And I said, well, it's effective right now, but it will be exact on Monday of the convention. Now, when an aspect is forming, we say in astrology, it's applying. So in this case, the moon is applying to the aspect, it's forming the aspect. And that's when the aspect is in its greatest power, just before it forms, as it's growing into that aspect. So as it's applying, it's very powerful. And you saw the effect of that. What I thought would take place at the convention, it's exact. I didn't know Trump was having a big rally on Saturday. I had no idea. I thought he was going to go till the convention. And so I would have said something about that Saturday, but I didn't know that he was out and about. So the lesson is, I mean, if you're home in your house and you're not out and about, you're less subject to danger. I rarely will sit at home and not go out because of astrological influences. I take precautions. So I didn't go to Lake Mead like I was going to go on Sunday. I said, well, I think I'll pass this week, but um, anyway, you saw the effect of that. So we are approaching this big full moon. So it's effective today. It will be effective tomorrow night, and the long-term lingering of the big planets will make it effective for a couple of weeks in effect. And I'm going to talk to you about what else is going on in that at that time. So after today, we have the events that start on tomorrow. The moon is going to be quincunx Jupiter. Sorry about my messy writing. And this is happening. Jupiter's in Gemini. So we have the Gemini influence here, some tension. Trump is not he's feeling nervous, very nervous, a lot of nervous energy. And he put on a brave front, but he's shaking in his boots a little bit. We have the moon sextile Saturn. We also have Mars leaving Taurus, where it's unhappy because it's a big damper on Mars in Taurus, but it's entering Gemini. Gemini being Trump's natal sign, where he has a lot of things. And Mars is entering there. It's quick moving, very powerful, lots of communication. This is like violent rhetoric. Mars being violence, Gemini being words, language, and communication. I think you can expect some rather, he toned things down a little bit at the convention, I think, because of what happened, but he's not going to change his inner attitude. And there is violence in terms of communication, and things against other people with the moon trine Uranus. So we know when Uranus and Mars get together, what happens. It is very unstable. There is energy that that we're at one point with Saturn, we're concerned and worried. We do have high energy that is fast moving, full of conflicts, volatility, changes. It's an indication of ambition that is extreme. And as I mentioned, violent rhetoric and aggressive language. So this is amplified because if you look in the chart, Mars is right exactly. Oh, oops, this is the one coming up. Here we have, I circled in green, Uranus and Mars up at the upper left corner. And Mars is right in between Uranus and Jupiter. So that is really powerful energy. So you might have computer issues. I'm having some now, microphone issues. My microphone totally died, and I had a lot of issues of that sort, but it can happen in a big scale. Computer outages. I saw a news blurb about some computer outages around the country that were quite severe, but power, computer, etc. And these I've circled in the planets that are all at the 29-degree mark and right at exactly where the full moon is happening. We've got Neptune up at the top. We already mentioned Uranus and Mars, and we have the moon exactly hitting Pluto right after the full moon. So it hits Uranus, it hits an aspect with Uranus 2 hours before the full moon, and 2 hours after the full moon, it bumps right into Pluto, and all of this is opposite to the sun. So all the big power players in astrology are all within 1 or 2 degrees of this full moon, and as the moon moves quickly, they're all it's all exact. So it's the more exact and precise the angle is, the more intense is the effect. And so you see that we're for some very important decisions that are going to be made this weekend. Now, because Pluto is involved, some of this may be hidden from public view. Backroom deals and secret talks between leaders that are really important to all of us, but the truth about everything that they're doing may not come out right away. So there are very important decisions being made. So I think all of us and all of us need to be sending a lot of light and positive energy toward Biden's way, because he can make it through all of this, but he needs a little bit of help. Okay, because this is a serious, very serious full moon. And normally you think the moon is an ephemeral thing, but not a full moon with all of these major planetary powers all at once. This is a big event that will have long lasting consequences. So everybody do send some good energy that way. And a little teaser, the second week of August, Mars is going to take center stage, but we'll put that on hold for another week, but another meeting. So tune in, stay tuned. In a couple of weeks, we'll talk about that. Okay, so now on the positive side of all of this, it's excellent for psychics and intuitive people, for creative people, musicians or poets or writers, and you could get sudden intuition, sudden inspiration, and you could have a very creative time. But it is a bit of emotional roller coaster, bipolar, where you go from worrying to being exalted and up and down, little highs and lows that are extreme. So I would advise you that you have some tasks and activities that ground you. You need to be out in nature or with your pets, things that will ground you, and activities that can keep your mind occupied so that you're not you're not worried, but you're doing something positive. You could write letters to your senators, for example, and stuff like that. Make phone calls to the offices. There's going to be very high energy. So don't be impatient, and don't and and and, and don't make any major critical decisions in the next couple of days, because you might wait for the storm to blow over, because it's going to be a intense weekend. And so if you come up with some ideas and some path you want to take, give it some time to mature, because a sudden flash decision might not be the wisest. Say, oh, I think I'm going to do that, but I'll decide on Tuesday. I'll make the final decision. I'll make a peremptory call, and then think about it for a couple of days. After the full moon, the moon will enter the sign of Aquarius, which is the ruler of Uranus. So we had the Saturn, boom, boom. Then we have the Uranus, boom, boom. And so it's high volatility. And so expect there to be quicksand under your feet, and things will be in a changeable state. So if you see something that really disturbs you this weekend, know that this too will pass. So this is not the final end of days here, where this is a rough patch. So just have your seatbelt fastened, and your oxygen mask ready to breathe, and do some deep breathing and slow down your nerves, because you're going to need some, your meditation techniques. You know how to slow down your breath, right? You inhale, you're going to go inhale to 6, hold it, and 7 counts, and then blow it out for 8. But you have to exhale longer than you inhale, and that sends if you exhale for a longer count than you inhale, that will send a trigger to your nervous system to send you endorphins, so you can calm down a little bit. And that's a good trick, helpful when you need to sleep, etc. Anyway, these are some momentous changes that are coming. With Pluto, you're all the extra, and Neptune is involved also. These are showing some predestined karmic effects. These are things that is in our life path for the future of humanity. So it's one of the, as we talked about last week, the times that try men's souls. So we're heading into a momentous change for humanity, and we will, once we're on the other side, we'll say, wow, I see why this and this and this was necessary at the time. Who knew? But we will get through it, and humanity is going to be in an entirely wonderful new path after it. Not right away, but it took us a long time to get in this mess, and we are working our way out of it now. So we do have, in this full moon, we do have some nurturing, protective effects with the Cancer nature that we want. And there are the positive side of this. Let me show you some nice things that are happening in this full moon. So we have, so there are some, this is the happy part. Okay, so there's some happy news. I put the time down. It's 3:17 a.m. Pacific, Sunday morning. So that's tomorrow night. If you're on the East Coast, it's 6 a.m. that it becomes exact. But you know that it's applying, so it becomes effective sooner than that. So it's starting now. We're already preparing for it. The moon will enter Aquarius, and then it disconjunct Pluto. That's what that first line says. Moon enters Aquarius, conjuncts Pluto immediately after the full moon. The sun is trine Neptune. This is great for intuition, dreams, creative work, your psychic abilities, your mediumship, all of that. Venus is sextile Jupiter. These in by themselves are wonderful, fabulous opportunities for you, and you can have great social um, um, attachments, and collaboration with friends and loved ones, and enjoying artistic pleasures and psychic activities. It's really fabulous. But I put a little eyeglass here. This is what musicians do when they're saying, look out for this. Mercury is square Uranus. So Mercury and they're both Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, just like Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. So when they get together, they more than double up each other. And square is a hard aspect. So it's like a lot of being nervous energy, and you're going to feel unsettled. Get some chamomile tea and do some meditation and do some deep breathing. With Mars trine Pluto in the mix, this is a big one. But the reason Mercury and Uranus is so big, I want to point this out to you because I'd be amiss if I didn't. In a few, maybe a month or two ago, we talked about what happens when Mercury goes retrograde, and I showed you this drawing where Mercury starts out and it's moving along. It goes stationary, then it turns around, it goes backwards, then it's stationary, it turns around, and it doesn't really get out of that path until it's past where it went backwards. We're heading up to the same thing now, where Mercury hits Uranus square, then it goes stationary, hits Mercury Uranus square again, and then it hits it again. So it's what you call a triple whammy. So that Mercury square Uranus happens 3 times in a row, and we never get away. It's a long lasting thing, like on, and it's powerful. So the Gordian knot of all these terrible legal issues and the Supreme Court and all this stuff is not going to go away right away, because it's going to be 2 steps forward and 3 back, and 2 forward and 3 back for a little while. So, and Mercury will be retrograde soon, so it keeps hitting that. So, let's see if there was anything that I forgot. So yeah, the tech issues, and maybe, don't be careful of hackers. Don't click on any emails you don't know or messages on your phone. I got a lot of those. I don't know why, but be careful of those. Just send them away. And this has to do with all power mongering with Mars and Pluto and Saturn. These are people who want power for themselves. And so this is their last hurrah. They know if they don't succeed now, they're out for the count. But if they do succeed, they're home free. We're not going to let it happen. Don't worry about it, but to be proactive. Take some action. Send $5 or volunteer to work at your Democratic office. Send letters. Talk to neighbors. Whatever you can do, do something, because of doing that will make you feel better, because you'll have a lot of nervous energy. And if you don't do something, you're going to feel stress. You'll feel stress, and if you do something positive, you'll feel more that you did what you could do. So you do what you can do, and what you can't do, we talked about the prayer of St. Francis last week. God, give me the wisdom to give me the wisdom, the courage to change what I can change, the patience to accept that which I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So do what you can do, then do some deep breathing, patience, because things will work out. Not this week. Okay, it's not happening right away. So don't let it worry you with all these things going on. And Mercury enters Virgo. That's where people worry, and it's going to station there. So this is mental anxiety and mental worrying. Don't let it get you. Don't let the worrying get you. Recognize it when you have dark thoughts, and have a plan to exit the dark thoughts. Get walking, exercising, loving your pets, do the thing that makes you feel joy, and do some constructive things, and have a plan to get yourself out of the dumps and doldrums that we're going to be feeling for the next little period of time. Then we'll be out of it. Looking ahead to election day, things look good for the Democratic side. They don't look good now. You're saying, "Oh no," but don't let that happen. We did the opposite when Hillary was running, right? Remember, it's 99% sure, they said on the polls, for sure she's elected. I think I told you last week, I bought that's the last bottle of wine I bought was that day. And I thought, well, we'll have a toast when the first female president is elected. Oh my goodness. I haven't bought any wine since then. So remember that happened the opposite way. Now it's going to happen in our favor. So be the rough patch. Well, um, not for the next few weeks. So I will give you. I will talk more about Mary. You always ask the right question.
She sure does. We got a good group.
Yeah, but I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I just want you to know that the next few weeks is going to be a rocky road. So next week I will be, how about this? Next week we will address your question of how we're going to get out of this, but it isn't happening this week. So have faith that it's going to be only a few weeks. So we will have some good news. I think Jack Smith has a secret plan. And I think he's coming up with something in the courts. There's going to be some legal news that's going to be very, very devastating for Trump, although he thinks he's almost home free. Nope. So there will be news of the good kind for the good guys coming up in a few weeks. But next week we'll address the timing issue of that, okay? Because I really haven't had time to really be sure of it. I don't want to say today.
ES has some insights on smart companies install upgrades or fixes. They don't do it until about a month later than everyone else. So they all these upgrades and new things happening. Her company wasn't affected because we don't install upgrades immediately. So yeah, things go haywire when they do that.
Yeah.
They should listen to the show. You tell them.
Yeah.
When to
And they
upgrade.
want to do it not when Mercury and Uranus are square. Definitely not.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Don't laugh at me though. Don't laugh. What is this planet?
The big one, that's
The
Jupiter.
big one.
Jupiter.
Okay.
That's
Just
Jupiter.
saying, because I like to say Saturn made me do it, but
that's Jupiter. That big red storm is getting smaller. But Jupiter also has rings. The remote viewers discovered it like 10 years before Voyager got there, and he said, oh, there were rings around Jupiter. No, there are not rings around Jupiter, but yep, there are. They're small.
Of course.
But that is Jupiter. That is the great benefic planet. So if you want to have a planet in your background, that's the one you want.
So Mary also says, are there some people who have charts where this time is very good for them?
Well, yes, it is true. Looking at this, this is the full moon, and as I mentioned, we do have some nice things with Venus and Jupiter. So Venus is in Leo, and Jupiter is affecting that, and that's that is Trump's ascendant right there. So people with that influence are getting a little bit of a temporary goodness, but that doesn't mean they're free and clear forever.
So there's others, but you know what? I got to tell you, a lot of times I check, readings and things after the fact and think, oh yeah, it was exactly what she said. I did feel a little bumpy or something like that, but I don't go into a week with the idea that things are going to be bad.
No, you
because
don't do that.
It's perspective.
But a good thing to do is to learn astrology. You keep a little journal, and you know it's good to have when the moon. And I mentioned to you the moon is entering Capricorn today. The moon will be entering Aquarius right after the full moon. If you know these little changes are happening, and you observe really your feelings, because the moon does govern your emotional nature. So how are you feeling about something? It may not be long lasting, but it'll be your temporary mood swings.
Oh,
See,
okay.
and you can observe your cycles and see
Yeah.
when things, how they affect you and what house you have it in. For example, if you have that
Mm.
happening in your 7th house, it's going to affect the way you feel about your relationships. If you have that happening in your 10th house, it's going to be how you're feeling
So,
about your job.
so
And in the
yeah.
2nd house, it's how you're feeling about money. So the
We got to
yeah,
stop. We got to go. So we got
there
to
you go.
change
Okay.
gears here
Yes.
before we
Okay.
get too lost in the muck. Not the muck.
And
This
I
is
will go. I gotta get my glass of water. I always
Go
have it
get your
ready, but
glass of
I'm gonna have
water.
it here. So I will be right back and we'll
We'll
do
have
some
Trump's
readings. Okay.
holding place here.
Okay.
Hey everyone. We're gonna switch gears. And Mary, I answered that one. Good. So Chi Aku, you're the first one. I haven't seen you participate before. Thank you for coming. ES, thank you for coming. You had mentioned, ES mentioned, oh, yeah, I went ahead and put that up. So the first one is Joyful Journey. Joyful Journey. We've got to, I am trying to get a hold of our debt. Any suggestions? I have homework for you. And you can answer that or discover new ways to save by this one task that I'm going to ask of you. Go a full day, a full 24 hours, day and night, without spending a penny. Plan on that at least and see how many times in a day you think, oh, I'm going to go get lunch, or Amazon has sale, or so, right? So it's that well-worn neural pathway. I'm going to ask Spirit now because that was the human test, the human opinion. And depending on where all the planets are in your house of money would determine some timeline, but you're trying to get a hold of it. So collaborate with your partner. If you have a partner or someone else inside that debt, collaborate. It can be your banker. It could be the person who's holding the note of debt. I've got the Lover's card saying collaborate, let them know if you're having trouble before they realize you're in trouble. I also see restraining yourself. This card is the Eight of Swords, telling me that you might feel like you're in a pickle when you really have options. So the lady with 8 swords, preventing her from living her life, that's self-inflicted. So I believe maybe Spirit is saying that you might be too focused on having debt. That being said, just take your don't do this. My dog might bark. I'm sorry. Just take stock in all your cash, because we've got all your money, because we've got the Page of Pentacles. Start a new, start a new fund that's just for fun, and keep your lunches and your Amazon buys, spur of the moment Amazon, to that portion, and leave the regular alone. That is for entertainment purposes only, because it's good for you to find a financial advisor for that question. For entertainment purposes only. And if you have anything to add, Lalit, do you have Joyful's chart?
I don't
That's fine.
know what her name would be, but
Oh, that's
she
right.
wrote September 29th, 1964, but I don't know
No
where
problem.
or when, so
That's okay.
it wouldn't be very good.
That's fine. That's fine. This is a funny story by Mary. My power went out yesterday and I had to use the old fashioned rotary phone. And when I spoke with the lady at Duke Energy, she did not know what I was talking about, what it was. Has anyone read a book? Has anyone gone to an estate sale? Oh my God. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. I'm so glad you shared that. That's making me laugh for a long time.
Oh my.
And
Yes, be prepared, guys, get some candles ready just in case you have a power outage or something, or just get some candles ready. I learned a trick a couple of years ago, but this is better for the winter if you need to cook and you're out of power. They said if you buy a can of Crisco, like the can of Crisco, and you put a candle in it, that will give you a flame for like 12 hours, and you could put a clay pot, a pot on top of it and cook, or
oh my
or
God.
heat if you're cold, and light, so you have light and heat
I can
cooking
tell. Yeah, I can
for
tell a
a
past
long
life.
time.
One of your past lives was a pioneer lady. That is for sure. Whenever they
Yep.
had Crisco with the covered wagons. Oh my God, that's great. There's also, if your power goes out, now you have to plan ahead of time, but you put a container of water inside your freezer and then you freeze it. And then you put a quarter on top. So if the power goes out, you're not going to go into your freezer, but you'll be able to tell if the food in your freezer is any good or not by the amount of defrost that little container has, where that level of that quarter is on there. I've got ES here. Should I settle my car accident case now or later? So remember, entertainment purposes only. Do not go, whatever I say, don't go by that. You go by whatever you're going for. This is just for fun, because I do a 5-card draw. And at the moment it says, because I'm dousing on the words now. Should car accident now or later. So now has a certain yes, and later has no. Oh, you said no?
That's what I got.
What'd you get?
I mean, the same. I got before you said it. People saw it. It went to yes before you said yes.
So that's your answer for settling. Should it be now or later? And both of us had spirit say now. So, but you do.
But maybe not this week.
Oh,
maybe wait.
We'll add another
Don't do
little.
it on Monday. Don't do it on Monday. With Moon on Pluto. Don't do it on Monday.
Don't do it
Wait
when Pluto's around.
days.
And if you do it, say Saturn made me do it. Okay. So there's your answer. Take it with entertainment salt. Okay. I have someone I've never read before, Chi Aku. I love that name. So exotic. I'm looking for work. Any insight? She did give me her birthday, so I was able to douse on that, give information on that. Chi, you're having a 7 personal year, which makes you feel uncomfortable going outside of yourself, because you'd rather just stay in solitude. You'll have you're comfortable in solitude. So going out and doing work and finding work and all of that stuff is all that people-y thing. That's not for you this year. Closer to September, you'll feel more into collaborating with people. It's interesting. You're a 32/5 life path, which means you needed to, when you came in this lifetime, you needed to master the 3 and the 2, the energies and definitions of the 3 and the 2, to completely embody the 5 and live up to its highest potential. So the 2 is the most important, and that is collaborations, relationships, not to lose yourself in them or completely repel yourself from them. So there's a happy medium there that life is asking you to I'm sure you've already learned it by now. Usually people who are, have some age under them, some years behind them, have mastered this. So the next one is 3, which is creativity. And with that creativity is also speaking and communications and things like that. So be proactive with that. And that will pull into your 5 life path. I just did a video. It's my first faceless video that I made. Thank you very much. It's 8.5 minutes. I'd love for you to take a look at it. But the man I'm talking about in the video that I'm showcasing it in the video is also a 5 life path. So you might find some interesting things there. As far as your reading goes, so looking for work. It looks like I've got you won't believe this. Okay, so what Lalit said for this upcoming week looks like you had last week coming into this. So I do have, so it's been kind of a hard time. I got to tell you, the tide is turning, and it looks like the Wheel of Fortune is coming for the next 2 weeks to a month. The Sun, you're feeling hopeful. Whether you're feeling hopeful at this minute or not, feeling hopeful is available to you. It's just like when I get the 4 of Swords, which is rest after a long battle. If it's reversed, it doesn't mean you don't get rest after. It means you're not taking the rest. It's an option for you. So also I see here in the next couple weeks to a month that the reverse 9 of Swords upright means losing sleep, worry, terrible, terrible thing, blah, blah, blah. And it's reversed. So you're coming out of that. You're going to be doing it independently. So I don't know if you were going to, join forces with someone to have your own business. It doesn't look like that's favored at this time. I have someone, a King of Swords reversed for this month. So just think of someone who's really, really smart, like a professor or something. I don't know what your field is. And they're probably going to give you a bit of advice that may not pan out for you because he is coming in reversed. But I have the King of Pentacles for the rest of the time. So I've got King of Pentacles. And so that's also having a job. Jobs are pentacles. Money is pentacles. Things are pentacles. Even relationships are pentacles after a while. After those cups wear off, not only all those emotions.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to finish ES's question about.
Oh, okay.
And this relates to everybody because we have that Mercury.
Well, let me give you a big.
Okay.
Hold on.
We've got the Mercury retrograde situation coming up right now. Mercury is going forward. It will be stationing, and then it goes backwards on August the 5th. August the 5th it's already too late for things of that sort. So everybody, this period from the 1st of August to the 5th, it's stationing. So let's say it's easy to remember, get all your business taken care of, like she was wanting to do the court case and things of that nature. You want to get them started in July, but not the next few days after the full moon here, but you can get things underway by the end of July before Mercury goes retrograde, because then we have that period that it's going to be going and it needs to get out of the shadow. So we're preparing now, then it's going to be backwards and it won't be out of the shadow for some time. So take care of all your business and make important decisions by the end of July.
That's interesting. But if you happen to have to make a decision during Mercury retrograde, don't worry. Just double check it.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you
So,
can't sign papers or can't do this or that, but just be careful of the details and handle things. Think about things or anticipate if you can. If you have to sign them, you have to sign them. Just
you know,
worry.
I've never worried about a Mercury retrograde because I was born under one. So I'm already stationary. That's my thinking as a non astrologer. She's smiling. Look at her
I'm
smiling.
smiling. I was remembering having this added. I will tell you a story if I can
Uh-huh.
to lighten the
Yeah.
atmosphere. I said to myself, a friend of mine, it was when I was living in the country outside of Rome, a friend of mine who was a really great musician, but he lived in Milan and he was going back to America for a whole year. So he called me and he said he wanted to give me his car for a year because he couldn't leave it on the street in Milan. He says, well, come up and get my car. You can just have it for the year. Nice car. All right. Well, sure. I'll go for that. I saw Mercury retrograde. I don't care. I'm going to go anyway. So I'll leave early. I'll do the train. So on the way to the train in my brand new, from the factory, I had a Citroen that was less than a month old and had a flat tire in the middle of nowhere in the country road. And so I missed the train to Milan. And of course, there were no even rotary phones at my house, not even a rotary phone. So my boyfriend, he did take care of getting to people in Milan that were going to meet me. It was like an 8-hour train ride. So we had time to find them and tell them that they couldn't meet me. So, all right, I missed that train. And I got there and then they gave me the car and I had another flat tire and there were no lights, wouldn't go on. So I couldn't drive back because it was going to be dark. And so the next day I thought, all right, I'll be fine. In the daytime, I don't have to have lights. I forgot that I'm going to have to drive through those long tunnels, that go through the Apennine Mountains. They're like, you're 3 minutes in pitch dark where you couldn't drive. So I'd get to and you don't see them coming up and go, oh my God, I have to get behind a truck because I couldn't see. Otherwise I'd just run into the wall, see if I get behind, find a truck to get behind, but you don't have any warning. So I was really having a heart attack. I went through so many of these tunnels in the dark with no lights. It was so dangerous. I thought I was going to die. It was just,
That does not sound like Mercury
no,
retrograde. That
does it?
sounds like no, it sounds like you were taken
Mercury is
care of.
trips. Mercury is trips. Yeah, well, I was
Oh, Mercury
really
trips.
praying. Yes, yeah, Mercury is trips,
Okay.
and so yeah, the winged messenger. It's trips, little trips, not the long voyages, but trips of this, driving in your
Oh,
car. Oh man,
interesting. Oh, that's good to.
I had 2 flat tires and an electrical system that was out in one day.
Oh my
Went through all
God.
those tunnels. So yes, I I tried to take precautions. I tried to I had a really positive attitude. It wasn't like I was fearful about it. I said, "Oh, I'll just leave early." No, didn't work. Anyway, so you have to laugh about it later. That's why I was laughing. I was remembering that. Who could forget
So
that? Man,
yeah, because
no.
it's hubris to say something like that in the face of Mercury.
Yeah.
Saturn made me good. Saturn made me do it. Blame it on Saturn. Annie, you are having a one personal year. We've got time for just this next. We're down for an hour. Annie wanted a message, and you're having a one personal year. I do hope that you're if new things are not coming towards you to take advantage of, start thinking about something like a bucket list. Not really a bucket list, but if you've always wanted to try cake decorating or candle making, go find a business that'll let you do that. Just it's that kind of year, because we're getting close to September. It looks like you have your feet on the ground. This is a cool message. So your message is, I've got the 7 of Cups reversed for those people who read the tarot. That means you've got some options and you got your feet on the ground more. If it's upright, you're kind of up there in woo-woo land. But it's reversed. And then I've got the 5 of Swords reversed, meaning any arguments have been settled, or at least outwardly settled. It might be internally still, but then it starts getting cool. Now this is like for the next week, right? And I've got the Knight of Swords. And so with that, there's going to be epiphanies coming in. And also the King of Cups, a loving man, an older loving man. If you're not, if you're single right now, it could be that. And how that would manifest, let's say you're single. I don't know if you're married or not, but let's say you're single and you get this combination, Knight of Swords upright and King of Cups upright. What it could mean is that you have this, think, oh, let's grab a friend and go down to that restaurant you wanted to try or something. And it would be like this epiphany, and then you call your friend and everything is in place. You're there, you get a table just right, and that's when you start meeting people. So it can act out like that. Nonetheless, by the end of the week, we've got the Magician, meaning that you are manifesting really good this week. So it might, I think you're doing fine. Really good week coming up. Aside from
for everybody, this full moon is not all negative. Remember, we have good aspects with Venus, with Jupiter, with Neptune. So for some social and romantic encounters, you could have some good luck, and you could have great intuition. You could have great psychic clarity, like a visionary enlightenment moment, like aha. And so it's not all negative. That there are indications for social encounters and for psychic things that could be good. So
someone has another quick. I know I said it's going to be the last. Linda says, I thought I was life path 6. I'm going to do your numbers here and just make sure, because I need my calculator. I can't do it in my head. I'm too spiritually challenged. 52. So you are a life path. The way I add up things, you are a life path 33. Some people add it up and it will be a 6. So if you're here on and you're seeking higher spiritual truths, then you're living your 33. So go online. What does a life path 33 mean? And read about it. If it doesn't serve you well, read about the 6. But no, you are a 6 and a 33. But the way I add it up, because I don't want to miss the master numbers. And if you add it up the traditional way of condensing the year down to a single digit, then you miss those wonderful things called master numbers. And so people with master numbers feel a little more under the gun. I know everyone feels under the gun to do their life purpose and all that stuff. And listen to my latest video, on my faceless video about Russell Targ. It's a learn remote viewing at 8 minutes. But in there, it explains this pressure that everyone has. Doesn't matter what number you are. It's just like, I want to do something big in my life or get something done. I want to feel settled in my life. And it's a little bit on steroids for master numbers, even when you're a kid. So you can identify with whatever you like. So.
Wouldn't you say, Deborah, people who are here in this group are more likely to be master?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for reading my mind. People are between the two of us, we're a whole psychic. So anyway, okay. Yeah, right. So anybody who's actually seeking out the higher knowledge on this show, people who sign up to have readings with me are always the higher ones. Oh, Cynthia says she's got to go. Have a wonderful
Thank
week.
you,
And
Cynthia.
I am going to, we are going to, I will play the outro because I just wanted more time to talk, I guess. I love everyone. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
liking and
everybody.
subscribing. We'll see you next week.
Have a wonderful full moon. Fill us in on what happened to you next
Yes.
session.
Keep
Get your
note.
intuition. Do your breathing.
I love ya. Thanks. Bye.